If you think betrayal hurts most in private, wait until you see what happens when it gets dragged into the light. Because the night I heard my wife laughing about another man through my garage window, my whole life split in two. One half was the life I had trusted for 23 years. The other half was something colder, harder, and much more dangerous. And before that week ended, nobody in town would ever look at our family the same way again. Rain pounded the roof of my old Chevy like 1,000 angry fingers. It hit the rusted metal so hard it sounded like bullets on a trash can. The whole town felt like that sound. Tired, hollow, beaten down. Ever since the steel mills shut their doors, this place had been slowly falling apart, one broken family and one empty building at a time. I was standing in my garage with both hands buried in engine grease, trying to bring life back into a carburetor that should have died years ago. My flashlight was tucked against my shoulder. My wrench was between my teeth. I was focused, frustrated, and too dirty to care about anything except getting that engine to breathe again. Then I heard her voice. Soft, breathless, flirty. A voice I had not heard in years. "Oh my God, Evan, he's so much bigger than Ryan," my wife said through the open garage window. My whole body froze. The wrench slipped from my mouth and hit the floor with a sharp clang. But I did not move. I did not even breathe right. I just stood there, elbow deep in grease, while my heart gave one hard thump inside my chest. Claire laughed. Actually laughed. Not her normal polite little work laugh. Not her fake laugh for neighbors. This was young, silly, excited laughter. The kind she used to say for me when we were 23 and still believed love could protect us from everything. "Everywhere that counts," she purred into her phone. I stared at the dark garage wall and felt something hot crawl up my spine. 23 years. A daughter in college. A mortgage we had nearly drowned under more than once. And my wife was talking about another man's body like she was reading a 5-star review. Then it got worse. "That video we made last weekend," she said, giggling again. "It's incredible, Jenna. I've never felt so alive. Evan knows exactly how to touch a woman." Her sister, Jenna, laughed through the phone so loudly I could hear it from where I stood. "Aren't you scared Ryan will find out?" Jenna asked. "Men notice more than they pretend." "Please," Claire said, and I could hear the ugly little smile in her voice. "Ryan can barely use the TV remote. He will never figure out I saved it on our shared cloud drive. Besides, he's too busy wasting time with that sad little boxing gym to notice what a real woman needs." That should have been the moment I exploded. The old version of me would have stormed into the kitchen. I would have shouted. I would have demanded names and answers. Maybe I would have punched a wall just to keep from punching something worse. But the old version of me was gone. Because the old version of me believed I was married to a woman who loved me. And the woman talking through that window was a stranger wearing my wife's voice. So I did something much quieter. I set the wrench down very carefully. My hands were steady. Too steady. I wiped them on an oil-stained rag, walked to the workbench and opened my laptop. Claire had always wanted us to share everything. Shared calendars. Shared passwords. Shared bank alerts. Shared cloud storage. She used to call it honesty. Transparency. Partnership. The joke made me almost smile. 3 clicks later, our family cloud was open. There it was. A new file uploaded 3 days earlier. Weekend fun, private. I stared at the name for a long time. Long enough to feel something inside me go cold and sharp. I did not open it. I did not need to. I did not need to watch my wife of 23 years in another man's arms to know what was inside that file. I already knew enough. I had heard enough. More than enough. Instead, I clicked share. And then I started choosing contacts. Her law firm email list. Every lawyer. Every assistant. Every staff member. Her college alumni group. Her book club. Her yoga class. The PDA mailing list where she had acted like queen of the town for 6 straight years. Sent. 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 Each click felt calm. Clean. Exact. Not wild. Not messy. Like landing a perfect jab. My phone buzzed almost right away. A text from our daughter Lily. "Dad, what is going on with Mom? She's getting crazy messages." I stared at the screen for a second, then typed back. "Ask your mother. She's the expert on family entertainment now." I had barely hit send when the garage door flew open. Claire came storming in on high heels, her face red, her phone buzzing in her hand like it was trying to escape. "Ryan, what the hell did you?" Then she saw my laptop screen. Saw the open contact lists. Saw my face. And stopped. For 1 second she looked almost scared. Then rage took over. "You sick monster," she whispered. "You sent my private video to everyone I know." I turned in my chair and looked at her. Really looked at her. Perfect suit. expensive shoes. Hair done like she was walking into court. She looked like success. Like power. Like the kind of woman who thought consequences only happened to other people. Private? I said, and I laughed, but it came out darker than I meant it to. Claire, the second you decided to make home movies with another man while married to me, private stopped meaning anything. She lunged toward the laptop, but I shut it fast and held it to my chest. Easy, I said. No need to get rough. Save that energy for Evan. Her face twisted. I will destroy you for this, she snapped. Her lawyer voice was back now. Sure. Cold. Controlled. I'll take the house. I'll take your gym. I'll take every dollar you ever earned. With what image? I asked. I pointed at the phone still shaking in her hand. Hard to play the wounded wife when half the county just watched you with somebody else on a kitchen counter. She slapped me. Hard. My ear rang. But I did not move. I just looked at her and said, "Feel better?" Her chest was rising and falling too fast. Her eyes looked wild now. Because this, I told her, is only round one. You wanted to humiliate me in secret. Let's see how you like it when the whole town is watching. The next morning, Marco Diaz was waiting outside Carter boxing before I even unlocked the front door. He had a coffee in one hand, his phone in the other, and a grin so wide it looked painful. "Sweet Lord Ryan," he said the second he saw me. "You broke this town." I unlocked the door and walked inside without smiling. The smell of leather, sweat, and old canvas hit me first. Good smells. Honest smells. Nothing fake lived in that gym. Marco followed me in, still laughing. "My wife's book club has gone nuts," he said. "Half the women are calling Claire trash. The other half want Evan's number." "It's not funny," I said. Marco snorted. "Yes, it is. It's terrible, but it's still funny." I went into the office and started checking the books, trying to hang on to routine. Numbers. Schedules. Bills. Things that made sense. Marco leaned against the door. "You know what people are calling you online?" he asked. I did not look up. "I don't care. The cheated king." He laughed again. "There's already a picture of your face on some superhero body. Whole town thinks you snapped." My computer kept filling with new alerts. Missed calls. Messages. Friend requests from strangers. News pages asking for comment. I ignored them and pulled up the gym membership list. 3 canceled memberships already. All women. All connected to Claire's social world. I nodded at the screen. "Let me guess. The good ladies of town think I'm the bad guy because I exposed my cheating wife." "Some do," Marco said, and his voice got more serious. "But not all. You'd be surprised how many people are on your side. Claire made a lot of enemies climbing up that law firm ladder." Before I could answer, the bell over the front door rang. I looked up, and there he was. Evan Mercer. Tall. Clean cut. Perfect hair. Perfect suit. Pretty face. Rich boy shoes. The kind of man who had never had to fix a car in the rain or choose which bill to pay first at the end of the month. He walked into my gym like he belonged there. "You must be Ryan," he said, holding out a hand. "Evan Mercer. We need to talk." I looked at his hand and did not touch it. "About what?" I asked. "Your leading role in my wife's midlife disaster?" Marco let out a laugh he tried and failed to hide. Evan's jaw tightened. "I know you're upset," he said, "but what you did yesterday was way out of line. Claire is devastated." I stood up slowly. He took half a step back. "Good. Claire is devastated?" I repeated. "My wife of 23 years sleeps with some rich little prince, films it, and now she's devastated?" His face hardened. "We're in love," he said. He said it like that fixed everything. Like the word love was a magic key that opened every locked door. What Claire and I have is real. What you two had was just comfortable. That word hit me harder than I expected. Comfortable. 23 years. Late night talks. Sick days. Bills. Fights. A child. A whole life. Reduced to one smug word from a man who still smelled like money and cologne. I walked around the desk toward him and he kept stepping back until he was almost at the door. "You know what's comfortable, Evan?" I asked quietly. "Daddy's money. Your shiny apartment. Your fancy car. The life you were handed. This isn't about money. It's always about money with guys like you." I got close enough to see the first little crack in his confidence. "But here's the thing about comfortable," I said. "Comfortable means I know how to wait. Comfortable means I know where things hurt. Comfortable means I don't waste punches." His throat moved. "Are you threatening me?" I smiled. Later Marco told me it was the scariest smile he had ever seen on my face. "Threatening?" I said. "No. I'm just warming up." Evan turned and left so fast it was almost a run. The door slammed behind him. Marco started clapping. That, he said, was beautiful. My phone rang. Claire. Years ago, as a joke, I had set her ringtone to a song about gold diggers after she made partner and started acting like she had outgrown me. Now the joke tasted rotten. I answered. What? Evan says you threatened him, Claire said. Her voice was ice. I'm calling the police. Tell them to bring snacks, I said. Maybe they'll enjoy your little film. She hung up. Marco looked at me carefully now. You okay? I grabbed my gym bag and headed for the heavy bags. Never better, I said. But the truth was, I needed to hit something before I forgot how to breathe. By Thursday the whole thing had exploded. Someone had dumped the video into a local drama group online, and from there it spread through town like fire through dry grass. At the grocery store people stared. Some looked sorry for me. Some looked disgusted. Some looked entertained. That was the worst part. Pain becomes fun when enough strangers are watching. The gym phone would not stop ringing. Half the calls were reporters asking how I felt about public revenge and modern marriage. The other half were new people asking if this was the gym owned by that savage husband who exposed his cheating wife. I was replacing a ripped heavy bag when Lily walked in. My daughter was 21, but in that moment she looked younger. Tired. Angry. Hurt. She had Claire's dark hair and green eyes, but there was still softness in her face. Warmth. Something her mother had lost a long time ago. She dropped her purse on the floor and crossed her arms. Dad, what is wrong with you? The words hit hard. Not because she said them. Because she meant them. Your mother made a sex video with her boyfriend and saved it on our family cloud, I said. That's what's wrong. You sent it to everyone she knows. Lily shot back. She can't leave the house. She can't go to work. People are tearing her apart. I set my tools down and looked at my daughter. Really looked. You think I ruined her life? I asked. What you did was crazy. No, I said quietly. What she did was crazy. What I did was public. She flinched a little at that, but she did not back down. I sat on the bench press because suddenly I felt every year in my body. Lily, I worked 2 jobs while your mother was in law school. I borrowed against this gym so she could build her career. I spent 23 years helping her rise. And she repaid me by sleeping with some rich clown and filming it. Lily's face softened just a little. Dad, I know she hurt you, but she didn't just hurt me. She humiliated me. My voice stayed even, but it cost me something to keep it there. Your mother made a choice. She chose Evan over our family. I just made sure the truth didn't stay hidden. She's still my mom. And she was my wife. The silence between us felt sharp. For one terrible second, I saw Claire and Lily's face so clearly it made my stomach twist. Then Lily looked down. She wants to meet tonight, she said. At Flanagan's. 8 o'clock. Flanagan's. Our first date had been there 24 years ago. Of course Claire picked that place. Tell her I'll be there, I said. Lily picked up her purse, but before she turned away, I spoke again. You might want to ask your mother about the other videos. She stopped. What other videos? I hit the heavy bag hard enough to make the chain shake. Ask her. Flanagan's had not changed much in 24 years. Same sticky floor. Same old beer signs glowing in the dark. Same smell of spilled drinks, smoke, and people trying to forget things. Claire was already there in a corner booth. She had not come alone. Her sister Jenna was with her. And her best friend, Paula Reed. All 3 women were dressed like they were going into battle. Sharp suits. Perfect makeup. Tight faces full of anger and judgment. I ordered a beer from Sam, the bartender, who had been working there since before most people in town had gray hair. He gave me one long look, then slid the bottle over with a quiet nod. I took my drink and walked to the booth. Evening, ladies, I said as I sat down. This feels familiar. Didn't we all sit like this when Lily got caught drinking in high school? Cut the act, Ryan, Paula snapped. You destroyed Claire's life over one mistake. One. I said and laughed into my bottle. Jenna, didn't you tell me it's been going on for 6 months? Jenna's face went red at once. I never. Actually, you did, I said. Yesterday. When you called Claire to warn her that Evan's ex was talking about him. I pulled out my phone and opened my notes. You said, and I quote, at least you know he can stay interested for 6 months, unlike his last 3 women. No one spoke. Claire stared at me. You recorded my calls? She whispered. After Tuesday, yes. Funny what you learn when you stop trusting people. I set the phone on the table. Did you know Evan owes his father $200,000 in gambling debt? Did you know he's sleeping with his personal trainer too? Paula stood up so fast the table shook. You're lying. Ask him about Chloe Bennett, I said. 24. Blonde. Works at Elite Fitness downtown. Drives a red Mustang he bought her last month. Claire's face lost all color. How do you know that name? The same way I know about the coke in his glove box, I said. The same way I know about the married women he's been filming. Jenna grabbed the edge of the table. What are you talking about? I leaned back and watched their faces. Your precious Evan has a collection, I said. And Claire? She's not even his favorite item. I don't believe you, Claire said. But her voice was weak now. So I pulled up a photo on my phone and slid it across the table. Evan and Chloe kissing outside a downtown restaurant. Taken Tuesday night. While Claire was crying at home about her ruined image. Jenna picked up the phone first. Then Paula grabbed it. Their faces changed as they stared at the picture. Claire looked at me like I had stabbed her. You knew, she whispered. You knew and you didn't tell me. Why would I? I asked. You made your choice. You picked Evan over me. I'm just making sure you get all of him. That was when she broke. Not graceful tears. Not careful tears. Ugly crying. Smudged makeup. Shaking hands. Real panic. For one tiny second, a part of me wanted to comfort her. The old husband part. The man who had known her laugh, her fears, her dreams. But that part of me was getting smaller every hour. What do you want? Paula asked. Money? The house. Tell us what ends this. Ends this. I finished my beer and stood up. Ladies, this is not ending. Claire wanted excitement. She wanted to feel alive. I looked down at my wife as she cried into her hands. Well, here it is. I promise she has never felt more alive than she does right now. I left them there and walked back into the rain. Friday morning, a process server showed up at my gym. Divorce papers. A restraining order request. And a lawsuit for emotional damage. Claire had stopped crying and started fighting. Marco read through the papers while I worked the speed bag. My fists moved in a blur. Left, right, left, right. The rhythm helped keep my mind from snapping. She wants the house, Marco said. Half the gym. 50 grand in damages. And she says you're stalking her and Evan. I hit the bag harder. Stalking. She has pictures of you outside that restaurant Tuesday night. I stopped. I was meeting my lawyer there. Marco blinked. You already got a lawyer? Best divorce lawyer in the county, I said. Right then the door opened again, and Diane Keller walked in carrying a briefcase and the kind of expression that could make weak men confess to crimes they had not even committed. She was in her 50s, smart as fire, and famous for tearing apart cheating spouses in court. Ryan, she said. We need to talk. Marco stepped aside. Diane sat on a bench and opened her case. Claire's attorney called, she said. They want a settlement. I stared at her. Already? She's scared. That word pleased me more than it should have. Diane kept going. The video was bad. Evan's cheating made it worse. She wants this quiet and fast. What's the offer? She keeps her retirement. She gets half the house equity. You keep the gym and your pension. No alimony. She drops the lawsuit. Marco let out a low whistle. That's not terrible, he said. But I shook my head. No. Diane looked at me over the rim of her glasses. Ryan, this is a strong offer. I don't want strong. I want right. Her mouth tightened. That's not the same thing. I sat across from her. This isn't about fairness anymore, she said. This is revenge. And revenge costs. How much? She told me. Marco nearly choked on his coffee. And that's if we win, Diane added. If we lose, you could be paying her bills too. I was quiet for a second. Then I pulled out my phone. What if I told you Evan has been blackmailing married women? I asked. With video. Diane's whole body changed. Do you have proof? I opened the screenshots. Text from Evan's phone. Threats. Demands. Pictures. Money. Diane took the phone and read fast, but I could see the shock building in her eyes. Where did you get this? She asked. Evan left his phone unlocked when he came to my gym trying to act tough. Marco leaned in. Holly hell, he whispered. Diane kept scrolling. 6 women, she said. All married. 7 if you count Claire, I said. Only she paid in a different way. Diane's eyes flashed. If this is real, this is bigger than divorce court. Look at the dates, I told her. Claire started the affair 6 months ago. The blackmail started 5 months ago. She helped him find the targets. Marco stared at the phone. Half these women are in Claire's book club. Exactly. I took the phone back. My wife wasn't just cheating, I said. She was opening doors for a predator. The gym door opened before anyone could answer. Lily walked in. She looked pale. Frightened. Dad, she said and her voice shook. Mom wants to see you. Tell her to call Diane. She's in the hospital. Everything inside me went still. What? She took pills last night, Lily said. Not enough to die, but enough to scare everyone. She keeps saying she's sorry. I looked at Diane. Then Marco. Then my daughter. 23 years. All of it had somehow led here. My wife in a hospital bed. My daughter crying. And me holding proof that could send Claire to prison right beside the man she chose over me. Which hospital? I asked. Millfield General. Room 314. I grabbed my jacket. Marco watched the gym. Diane, don't file anything else yet. Be careful what you say, Diane warned. I gave a tired laugh. That sentence should be written over my whole life. Then I walked back out into the rain. Claire looked smaller in the hospital bed. Without the sharp clothes, the heels, the cold control, she suddenly looked like a person again. Tired face. Pale skin. Tubes in her arm. Machine beeps filling the room. Jenna sat in the corner with red eyes and a wrinkled tissue in her hand. They both looked up when I came in. Ryan, Claire whispered. Her voice was rough. I didn't think you'd come. Lily asked me to. I stayed near the door. How do you feel? Like a fool. She gave a broken little smile. Doctor says I can go home tomorrow if I agree to therapy. Good, I said. You need it. I know. She looked down at her hands. I'm sorry, Ryan. For all of it. Evan. The video. The things I said about you. And helping him blackmail 6 women? Her face emptied. Jenna gasped. What are you talking about? Claire asked. I showed her the screenshots. Evan's messages. Threats. Money requests. Names. Dates. And then I watched the truth settle over her. Or the fear of it anyway. I didn't know, she said. I swear I didn't know he was doing that. Didn't you? I put the phone away. You introduced him to those women. You invited him into rooms full of unhappy wives. You made him look safe. I thought he was just charming. No, I said. You thought he made you feel young. Claire started crying again. Not fake this time. Not polished. Just broken. Jenna stood up. I think you should go. No, I said. I think you should. Claire wiped at her face. It's okay, Jenna. Her sister hesitated, then left. Now it was just us. After all the shouting, all the poison, all the public shame, it came down to 2 people in one small room with too much history between them. I signed the divorce papers, Claire said softly. Did you? She blinked. Because according to my lawyer, you haven't accepted our counteroffer. Her forehead tightened. What counteroffer? I pulled a chair closer and sat down. The one where you confess what you know about Evan. You help bring him down. You give me everything clean and quick in the divorce. In return, I don't hand this evidence to the police. She stared at me like she had stopped understanding English. You can't be serious. I'm very serious. Her mouth trembled. You'd send me to prison? If I have to. She broke into tears again. He said he loved me, she whispered. I almost laughed, but it came out sad instead. Claire, Evan doesn't love anyone but himself. And maybe money. Money probably wins. She covered her face. I ruined everything. Yes, I said. The truth sat between us like a third person. Then I stood up. You have 24 hours. Help me or go down with him. I left her crying in that bed and walked back into the gray afternoon. Outside, my phone was full of missed calls. Marco. Diane. Lily. Reporters. And one message that mattered. From Evan. We need to meet tonight. I have something you want. I stared at it, then typed back. Flanagan's. 10 p.m. Come alone. His reply came right away. Delete the screenshots and I'll give you something better. I smiled without meaning to. Round 3. When I got to Flanagan's, Evan was already there. Same booth. Same bar. But he did not look like the smooth prince who had walked into my gym. He looked sweaty. Tired. Shaken. His perfect hair was a mess. His hands would not stay still. For the first time he looked like a man who understood fear. You look awful, I said as I sat down. You've ruined my life, he snapped. My father cut me off. Business partners want answers. And now the police are asking questions about fake blackmail claims. Fake? I asked. That's interesting. I waved for a beer. I have messages of you telling Elena Ruiz to pay you $5,000 or her husband gets the photos. His eyes flicked away for half a second. Taken out of context. I almost smiled. What context makes that sound good? Instead of answering, he pulled a tablet from his jacket and put it on the table. I have leverage, he said. He tapped the screen. A video opened. My stomach dropped. Security footage. A parking area. His car. And me. Tuesday night. Slashing his tires. Throwing fish guts into the back seat. Pissing on the upholstery. I stared at the screen and felt the room go strangely quiet around me. What is this? I asked, though I already knew. Security footage from my building, Evan said. His confidence was starting to come back. Vandalism. Property destruction. Harassment. Maybe more. He leaned back and folded his hands. Here's the deal. You delete your screenshots. You stop talking to the police. You convince Claire to come back to me. In return, this disappears. I looked up slowly. And if I don't? He smiled. Then you go to jail. You lose your gym. And I still get your wife. For a second I said nothing. Inside, my mind was moving fast. He thought he had me. He thought he had finally landed the winning punch. Then I pulled out my phone and turned the screen toward him. A red dot blinked on the recording app. You know your problem, Evan? I asked softly. You think everybody else is stupid. His face changed at once. You were recording? Pennsylvania is a one-party state, I said. I can record my own conversations. And right now, I have you on tape blackmailing me. His mouth opened, then closed. I stopped the recording and saved it. Thank you for that, by the way. Diane's going to enjoy this. You can't use that. I think I can. He lunged across the table for my phone. I stepped back. He crashed hard against the edge of the booth, and the tablet flew from his hand. It hit the floor and the screen shattered. I looked down at it. Oops, I said. Looks like your leverage broke. He scrambled up, breathing hard, his face twisted with pure hate. You have no idea what I can do. I reached into my jacket and pulled out a thick envelope. Oh, I think I do. I dropped it on the table. Bank records, I said. Yours. And your father's company. He opened it with shaking fingers. And as he read, all the color drained from his face. Embezzlement, I said. Fraud. Old warrants. Money moved through fake accounts. You've been busy. He looked up at me like I was no longer human. How did you get these? I have friends, I said. Friends who know where bad men hide things. Friends who don't like boys who destroy families for fun. I leaned forward until he had no choice but to meet my eyes. Here's what happens now. You leave town tonight. You stay away from my daughter. You stay away from Claire. You stay away from everyone tied to me. And if I ever see your face again, this packet goes straight to the FBI. He swallowed hard. And if I don't leave? I smiled again, slow and cold. Then you find out what a man can do when he has nothing left to protect. He stared at me for a long time. Then he grabbed the broken tablet and backed away from the booth. At the door he turned once more. This isn't over. Yes, I said, lifting my beer in a fake toast. It really is. He left. And just like that, the room got quiet. I sat there alone, listening to the rain knock against the windows, thinking about all the years that had ended in this ugly little bar. Then my phone buzzed. Claire, I'll sign whatever you want. Just please don't send me to prison. I read it twice. Then I typed back. Already done. Check your email. The divorce papers Diane sent were fair. Cleaner than I had first wanted. Claire kept her retirement. She got half the house equity. I kept the gym. We both walked away without bleeding each other dry in court. And then I did something nobody would have expected from the man who had blown up her life. I destroyed the evidence that could bury her. Deleted the screenshots that tied her too closely to Evan's scheme. Buried what was left so deep it would not rise again. Not because she deserved it, but because once, for 23 years, I had loved her with my whole life. And even after what she had done, some part of me still could not hand her over to a cage. I finished my drink and walked into the rain. The house waiting for me was empty. The future ahead of me was empty too. But for the first time in months I could breathe. 6 months later, I was training a young fighter named Caleb when Marco came bursting through the gym doors waving a newspaper over his head. Ryan, he shouted. You need to see this. I walked over, wiping sweat from my hands. The headline made me smile before I could stop myself. Local tech entrepreneur arrested in multi-state fraud case. Evan's mug shot stared up at me from the front page. His hair was a mess. His face was pale. His rich boy shine was gone. Marco read from the article, grinning like a kid. Arrested in Miami while trying to board a plane to the Cayman Islands. FBI found evidence of embezzlement, wire fraud, and extortion going back 3 years. Couldn't happen to a sweeter guy, I said. But inside what I felt was deeper than joy. It was relief. Because justice is strange. Sometimes you chase it. Sometimes it takes the long road and finds people on its own. The gym door opened again. Lily stepped inside. She had been coming more often since the divorce. Talking more. Sitting with me after hours. Trying to patch together the bridge that had cracked between us. "Dad, can we talk?" I nodded and sat beside her on a bench. She looked nervous. "Mom told me," she said. "About the evidence. The stuff you got rid of. The things that could have sent her to prison." I was quiet. "She's in therapy," Lily said. "She's really trying. And she wanted me to thank you for giving her another chance." I looked at the floor for a moment. "Your mother made terrible choices," I said. "But she didn't deserve to spend her life paying for the worst months of it." "Evan did," Lily said. "Yes," I said. "He did." She turned to me with wet eyes. "I'm sorry I took her side. I should have trusted you." I felt something inside my chest loosen. "You were protecting your mother," I said. "That's what good daughters do." She swallowed hard. "Are you ever going to forgive her?" I thought about it. About rage. About shame. About nights sitting alone in that house hearing her words in my head. Then I gave her the only honest answer. "I already have." Lily blinked. "Really?" "Forgiveness isn't about what she earned," I said. "It's about what I need so I can keep living." She was quiet for a second. "Will you ever get back together?" No. I did not have to think about that one. Too much broke. Some things don't come back. But we can be civil. We can be peaceful. Maybe one day even kind. Lily threw her arms around me then. And for the first time since that terrible week, I felt like I had my daughter back. Across the gym, Marco was still reading the article. "Says here he had 200,000 in cash and a fake passport," he called out. "Boy really thought he was going to disappear." "Good thing somebody found him first," I said. Marco looked up at me with that crooked little grin he got when he knew more than he was saying. "You wouldn't happen to know anything about an anonymous tip, would you?" I went back to cleaning the weights. "No idea what you're talking about." "Sure," he said. Business had gotten better, strangely enough. Some old members stayed loyal. Some new people came because they had heard about the gym owner who fought back. I did not love the attention, but I would not pretend the new memberships were not helping. By closing time, I was alone, working through my own routine when my phone rang from an unknown number. "Carter Boxing," I answered. "Mr. Carter, this is Agent Maya Chen with the FBI." My hand tightened on the phone. "I'd like to ask you a few questions about Evan Mercer." I sat down on the bench press. "What about him?" "We're building a case against him for fraud and extortion. We believe you may have information that could help." I looked around the empty gym. At the silent ring. At the old photos on the walls. At the life I had clawed back together. "Agent Chen," I said carefully, "I'm not sure I know anything useful." I barely knew the man. "We also understand," she said, "that you may have played a role in exposing his crimes." I gave a dry laugh with no humor in it. "You've been talking to the wrong people." There was a pause. Then she said, "Mr. Carter, we also received security footage of someone vandalizing Mr. Mercer's vehicle. The man in the footage looks very much like you." My eyes closed. There it was. The shadow of my own worst choices. "Then I think I need my lawyer before this goes any farther," I said. "That's your right," Agent Chin replied. "But I want to be clear. Evan Mercer hurt many people. If someone helped stop him, the Bureau might see that as a public service." The call ended. I sat there alone, listening to the soft buzz of the lights. Then my phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. "Thank you. Elena Ruiz. One of Evan's victims." Then another message came. And another. Women I barely knew. Women who had lived for months under fear and shame. Women who somehow understood that somebody had pulled the rope that finally brought him down. I turned off the lights and locked the gym. Outside, the night air felt cool and clean. The rain was gone. For the first time in a long time, stars were showing over town. Then my phone rang one more time. "Claire." I answered after a long breath. "Hello. Ryan," she said softly. "I just wanted to thank you." "For what?" "For not destroying me when you could have." Her voice sounded different now. Less sharp. Less proud. More human. "For letting me try to become someone better." I leaned against my car and looked up at the sky. "We all do stupid things," I said. What matters is what comes after. I know. She paused. Lily told me the FBI called. I said nothing. I know it was you, Claire whispered. I know you're the reason Evan got caught. And I know you could have taken me down too. I still did not answer. The silence said enough. I spent 23 years married to a good man, she said. Her voice cracked. And I was too blind to see it. I hope someday you find someone who knows your value before it's too late. That hit deeper than I expected. Not because I wanted her back, but because part of me had wanted her to understand. Really understand. Maybe now she did. Take care of yourself, Claire, I said. You too, Ryan. The line went quiet. I stood there for a moment, phone still in my hand, thinking about revenge. At the start, revenge had felt like fire. Bright, hot, powerful. But fire burns everything if you hold it too long. What I had now was something else. Not victory exactly. Not happiness. Something steadier. Peace maybe. Evan was going to prison. The women he trapped were free. Lily and I were healing. Anne Claire, broken as she had been, was at least trying to become honest with herself. It was not the ending I imagined the night I heard her laughing through the garage window. It was better. Because in the end, I did not just survive betrayal. I walked through it. I watched the masks fall. I watched lies crack open. I watched the man who thought he could use everybody finally run out of road. And when it was over, I was still standing. I drove home through the silent streets of town, past dead factories, dark windows, and old brick buildings that remembered better years. The place was still hurting. Still trying to figure out what came next. In that way, maybe the town and I were the same. We had both been stripped down. Both been left with scars. Both been forced to keep going after something big had died. But I was still here. Still breathing. Still driving toward a home that was quiet now, but honest. And for the first time in a very long while, that was enough.